Every apex predator in the ocean has something bigger to worry about. Great whites avoid certain waters. Orcas hunt in coordinated packs to overwhelm their targets. But when a pod of orcas runs into adult sperm whales, something strange happens. The orcas leave. The largest toothed predator in the history of this planet doesn't run, doesn't hide, and doesn't need to. Sperm whales form a defensive ring, tails facing outward like a flower made of muscle and bone, and they dare anything in the ocean to come closer. That defensive ring has a name. Marine biologists call it the marguerite formation, after the French were daisy. Adults arrange themselves in a tight circle with their heads pointed inward, calves tucked safely in the center, and those massive tail flukes swinging outward like battering rams. According to a study published in Marine Mammal Science, orcas that encounter this formation rarely press the attack against adults. They probe the edges, look for a calf or a weakened individual they can separate from the group. But if the formation holds, the orcas tend to move on. And the formation almost always holds. When a member does get pulled out, one or two other adults will break formation, swim out into open water while being actively attacked, flank the isolated whale, and guide it back into the circle. They expose themselves to protect a member of their pod. That kind of coordinated, self-sacrificing defense is rare in the ocean. It works because an adult sperm whale's tail fluke can stretch over 5 meters across, and a direct hit from one carries enough force to shatter bone. Orca attack strategy against most large whales involves a wound and withdraw approach, biting in waves of 4 or 5 animals, wearing the target down. Against a marguerite formation, that strategy collapses. Every approach puts the attacker within range of a different fluke. Orcas are the ocean's most versatile predators. They take down great white sharks by flipping them upside down and holding them still until they suffocate. They hunt blue whale calves in packs that coordinate over kilometers. They beach themselves to grab seals right off the sand. But adult sperm whales occupy a different category. According to research compiled by the University of Nebraska, roughly 2/3 of sperm whales examined by whalers south of 50 degrees latitude carried orca rake marks on their bodies. That means encounters happen but successful kills of healthy adults are almost never documented. The scars tell a story of failed attacks, not successful ones. So what makes a sperm whale so difficult to take down? Start with size. Males can reach 18 meters long and weigh over 50 metric tons. That is longer than a city bus and heavier than a loaded freight truck. Their heads alone make up about 1/3 of their total body length. 1/3. But the real advantage is not just mass. It is what sits inside that enormous head. Every sperm whale carries a spermaceti organ, a biological structure with no equivalent anywhere else in the animal kingdom. According to Britannica, this organ can hold around 2,000 liters of a waxy, oil-like substance called spermaceti. For centuries, whalers killed sperm whales specifically to harvest brain fluid. They burned it in lamps and used it as industrial lubricant. They were wrong about what it was. The spermaceti organ is not storage. It is a sound cannon. Sperm whales produce clicks that reach around 230 decibels at the source. For comparison, a jet engine at close range hits about 150. A rifle shot is around 170. The sperm whale's click is louder than both, and it is the loudest biological sound ever recorded from any animal on Earth. These clicks are generated when air gets forced through a pair of structures called phonic lips near the blowhole. The sound pulse travels backward through the spermaceti organ, bounces off a reflective sac at the back of the skull, and gets focused forward through the melon, a fatty lens in the forehead that shapes the sound into a narrow directional beam. The entire head is a biological sonar dish, and it makes up roughly 40% of the whale's total length. That beam is how a sperm whale hunts in total darkness. Down at 1,000 meters, sunlight is gone. The ocean is black cold, and pressurized to the point where most vertebrates could not survive. The whale clicks, listens for the echo, and builds an acoustic map of the water column around it, pinpointing prey at distances that would be impossible through sight alone. Giant squid, the sperm whale's primary deepwater prey, get located this way. No human has ever watched a full hunt play out in the deep ocean, but the evidence surfaces on the whales themselves. Circular scars, some the size of dinner plates left behind by the toothed suckers lining a giant squid's tentacles. According to the Smithsonian, these scars are direct physical evidence that squid fight back hard during capture. Older whales tend to carry more of them, which tells you all these hunts happen over and over for an entire lifetime. The squid do not go quietly, but the whales keep coming back. If you've been finding this interesting, hit subscribe. There are more deep dives into the animal kingdom coming every week. And those dives are not a metaphor. Sperm whales routinely descend past 2,000 meters into water so deep and so pressurized that most submarines would be crushed. The deepest confirmed dive for a sperm whale sits around 2,250 meters. They can hold their breath for up to 90 minutes on a single descent. To be clear, the absolute diving record among mammals belongs to the Cuvier's beaked whale, which has been tracked below 3,000 meters. But sperm whales dive deeper and longer than almost every other air-breathing animal on the planet, and they do it repeatedly, day after day, throughout their lives. Their bodies are engineered for this kind of pressure. Their rib cages contain more flexible cartilage than rigid bone, allowing the chest to compress under extreme depth without cracking. Their lungs can collapse down to less than 1% of surface volume, which prevents nitrogen from dissolving into the blood and causing decompression sickness. And their muscles are loaded with myoglobin, an oxygen-storing protein that gives whale meat its dark, almost black color. Sperm whale muscle tissue holds roughly 10 times more oxygen per kilogram than the muscle of a comparably sized land mammal. When a sperm whale begins a dive, its heart rate drops sharply, blood gets redirected away from the limbs and toward the brain and vital organs, and the animal runs on stored oxygen reserves for the entire trip down and back. Every system in the body cooperates to keep the whale conscious and hunting at depths where the pressure alone would kill most creatures. Consider what all of this means from an orca's perspective. You are looking at a 50-ton animal that can stay underwater for over an hour, that produces a sound louder than a gunshot, that hunts alone in complete darkness 2 kilometers below the surface, and that, when threatened, locks into a formation with its pod and swings 5-meter tail flukes at anything that gets close. Orcas are intelligent enough to read that situation and walk away. The energy cost of a prolonged attack against a healthy pod of adult sperm whales almost never pays off. The risk of injury is high, the calorie reward is uncertain, and there are easier meals in the ocean. Even lone males present problems. A 2025 study published in Marine Mammal Science by Cosentino and colleagues documented encounters off the coast of northern Norway. When orcas approached solitary adult male sperm whales, the males did not flee. Instead, they produced a series of clangs and codas, specialized vocalizations that carried through the water and attracted other males in the area. Within minutes, 3 males had grouped up and formed a defensive position. The orcas backed off. Male sperm whales in high-latitude waters are usually solitary, feeding alone in deep canyons far from the breeding grounds. But when threatened, they call for backup, and it comes. Sperm whales also communicate across enormous distances using rhythmic clicking patterns called codas. Different family groups use different coda dialects, which means pods can identify each other by sound alone. A sperm whale clan in the Caribbean clicks differently from one in the Pacific, and young calves learn their family's dialect the way human children learn a language. These acoustic bonds hold pods together across thousands of kilometers of open ocean. When a threat shows up, the network activates. The sperm whale has been swimming these oceans for millions of years. Its ancestors evolved alongside some of the most dangerous marine predators in history. Livyatan melvilli, a prehistoric sperm whale relative from about 12 million years ago, had teeth over 30 centimeters long and likely competed directly with megalodon for the same prey. Modern sperm whales lost those massive teeth in the upper jaw over evolutionary time, but they kept the enormous head, the acoustic system, the deep diving physiology, and the cooperative social structure that makes them so formidable. They traded raw biting force for sonar precision and group defense, and the trade worked. Today, adult sperm whales have no consistent natural predator. Orcas will occasionally take calves or sick individuals that stray from the pod, but healthy adults in a functioning group are left alone. The ocean's most effective pack hunter encounters a pod of sperm whales, runs the numbers, and moves on. If you want more stories like this, the channel has plenty waiting for you.